The big story tonight is a Fox News alert. A glorious start to Easter this year as U.S. forces rescued the missing crew member from the F-15E shot down over Iran. President Trump made the announcement this morning, describing it as one of the most daring search and rescue operations in U.S. history. The fighter jet's weapons system officer was missing for over 36 hours after the fighter jet crashed in Iran on Friday. Officials tell Fox News that the officer hid on an elevated ridge after hiking away from the wreckage. While Iranian forces were actively searching the area, the operation to rescue the crew member involved multiple branches of the military and hundreds of service members. The CIA even used a deception campaign inside Iran to throw their forces off the trail of the missing officer. Matt Finn is live in Dubai with more details. Matt?
Tommy, that American jet crashed on the opposite side of the Persian Gulf behind me in Iran. The news broke on Good Friday, and then this morning here on Easter Sunday, the president announced that the second airman had been rescued, but he is injured. The president writing, "We have rescued this seriously wounded and really brave F-15 crew member officer from deep inside the mountains of Iran. The Iranian military was looking hard in big numbers and getting close. He is a highly respected colonel. This type of raid is seldom attempted because of the danger to man and equipment. It just doesn't happen." The second raid came after the first one, where we rescued the pilot in broad daylight, also unusual, spending 7 hours over Iran. An amazing show of bravery and talent by all. Now, the president says he'll be having a news conference with the military tomorrow in the Oval Office. We expect to learn much more about how this all went down. Our Jennifer Griffin and Trey Yingst are reporting as the U.S. was searching for the second downed airman who was hiding on a mountain. Drones were used to attack anyone in Iran that was approaching. And the CIA faked out Iran by spreading word that the U.S. had already captured the second American. A senior U.S. official tells Fox News the CIA leaked through multiple sources that they were trying to move a valuable package out of Iran. This was meant to draw the Iranians away from the area where the U.S. crew member was located, and that deception campaign worked. Back to you guys in New York.
Incredible. Matt Finn, thank you so much. While stranded behind enemy lines, the crew member used his SEER training, which stands for Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape, to avoid capture. Former CENTCOM official and retired Army Colonel Joe Buscino describes how the officer managed to evade Iranian forces while signaling his location to the U.S.
We're not exactly sure where he landed, but 7,000 feet while injured, climbing up this mountain range, the Zagros mountain range. And then from there, it's make contact. So he activated his personnel locator beacon, which sends a signal that's encrypted to American forces. And from there, he went into a crevice and basically hid. So the third part, you go to ground and you evade. So he tucked into a crevice and just waited for forces to come and get him.
Joining us now is Medal of Honor recipient Dakota Meyer. Dakota, first of all, happy Easter. Thank you for taking time away from your family to join us tonight. We are so honored to have you.
Thank you.
This was just really an incredible endeavor by the United States military. Could you describe for those of us who are just in awe of this, what this officer may have been going through in those harrowing 36 hours while awaiting this rescue?
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously I've never been in this situation, but what I will say is I could only imagine this is probably a worst case scenario for any of us to be by ourselves and not know if somebody's coming, when they're coming, or how they're coming. And you also know that it is an absolute race of, the Iranians are trying to get this. I mean, the value that this person would be if the Iranians were able to do this and as a negotiation tool and all this, I mean, I could not imagine what this pilot was going through. But as you see the capabilities and that the training that this pilot had gone through, obviously it worked. I think so many times, we go through training and this is a worst case scenario situation. And, you just don't know if it's going to work, right? And so to see this, it'll be interesting to have this pilot come back and talk about the techniques that he used and things like that, and to be able to learn off of this, because obviously he applied that and it worked.
Dakota, the assets that the United States put forward to rescue this airman, you look at the dozens of airplanes, the hundreds of service members who went to get him after he bailed out from that jet. I mean, it really does go to show that it is in the DNA of the U.S. military to bring their people back, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, I just got cold chills when you just said that. I leave no man behind is not, it's not a cool T-shirt phrase or anything like that. For us that go to combat, it's a way of life, and it's something that we mean. And I've got to tell you, you know, what this shows is more than anything. I mean, the capabilities of our men and women are absolutely. I mean, we're getting to be able to see that full display the last few months of what they're capable of when we have leaders who are willing to put our men and women before diplomacy, before their political agendas, and before their next election. You know, what you're seeing is the example of what is capable and what is possible when you have leadership like, you know, SecWar of Pete Hegseth, and you've got a president up there who's willing to back it, and you've got a bunch of professionals who their priority are the people that serve them, not the policies and not what everybody's going to think or not what we're going to lose. They're not putting equipment or anything above, you know, one single person's life.
Dakota, thank you for your service. You truly are an American hero. My question is about the Iran war more broadly. You've served in both Iraq and Afghanistan. You've seen how conflict can escalate. You know, looking at Iran, how worried are you about mission creep or a potential prolonged conflict in Iran?
Look, at the end of the day, I mean, I wish I could speak on that, but you know, that's not for me to worry about. What's for me to worry about is going and executing what leaders above me ask me to do, and to go and do what I feel is best, and what we all feel best is on behalf of the United States of America. And what we do know is that Iran is an enemy of America, and at any point in time, I mean, as they have killed thousands of service members over time, I mean, they are an enemy of America, and I will tell you that we have men and women who are ready to go do the nation's bidding against them at any point in time that we are called to do so.
Dakota, Tom Shalhoub, I want to ask about the president. He mentioned, he used the phrase severely injured. Do you know anything about the injuries, and what are some of the possible injuries? I know that it's a very dangerous thing to eject from an aircraft, and there's often broken bones and things like that. I don't know if you've heard anything about the injuries. Also, as part of the question, if you could tell me, what kind of things does the pilot have with him? We know he has the beacon. They mentioned that. It's an encrypted beacon. Does he have food, water, tools?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what this pilot was carrying in this loadout. I mean, I think that at a minimum, they're going to have a pistol on them. They're not going to have a long gun or a rifle. So, you know, their capabilities and their ability to be able to fight back is going to be very, very limited in this situation. But I mean, they are given the skills to be able to survive, to be able to go out and then, you know, to do the basic essentials of food and water and all these aspects of it. But their ability to be able to fight and stand off with the enemy, you know, their biggest weapon that they have is using using their brain and being able to escape and evade and trying to avoid the enemy at all costs. Going back to the injuries, you know, when you're looking at these ejection seats and ejections, I mean, you know, or being able to, you know, parachute in, I mean, you're probably looking at a lower extremity issue, which is going to limit you. And again, I don't have no clue. I haven't spoke to anybody about what the issues are of this pilot, but I mean, that's what you're kind of thinking of is maybe your legs, you know, hitting something on the way out, or, you know, a spinal issue of being able with that compression of riding that seat out at the way that they do, or hitting the ground. I mean, you got to think that this person wasn't expecting to skydive in. They're definitely not, you know, hitting the right spot or hitting an LZ like you usually are whenever you're inserting through a parachute. So, you know, all these things are factors. So a lower extremity issue, but who knows, right? I mean, nobody knows. But what you did see is that this pilot was able to evade and was able to go back to his training, and we had a president who was searching and hunting this person and helping find this person and get them out, and was willing to put it all on the line. And I think that's the biggest display for every service member that's out there right now, to be able to see this type of effort being put into to rescue this pilot. It gives us all a piece of security to know that we have leaders up there right now who are willing to come get us if we need that.
You know, Dakota, what message does this send to Iran for the United States to be able to rescue not one, but two, the pilot and the weapons officer? What message does that send Iran?
Well, I think Iran is getting the message. They get the message every single day, is that the superiority that we bring to the table, and that we've got leadership up there who's going to stop at nothing to get what they feel needs to be accomplished on behalf of making sure that America is safe. I think we're seeing that, and that's a display. What's really telling to me, it shows the display of the superiority that we have of Iran, of being able to do these missions during the day. That's something else that shows me a lot, that, the capabilities of Iran is our dominance is truly prevailing in all these situations.
Certainly is. Dakota Meyer, thank you so much for your service. Thanks for being with us tonight. And again, happy Easter.
Thank you so much.
All right, Rich, you were covering this in the wee hours of the morning. You were doing the Lord's work. Tell us a little bit about when this information came in. For those that weren't watching in the wee hours of the morning, for those of us who woke up and saw the good news, take us into what last night looked like.
Sure. I mean, we had some indication that something was going on, but then you learned later in the reporting that this airman had been recovered, but there were problems getting him out of Iran. There were two C-130s that couldn't take off. So we weren't clear to report a lot of that information because we weren't going to until they were clear of Iranian airspace. That's the responsible thing to do. But then we started getting more information. And the more you heard about this, I mean, I thought the script to Top Gun Maverick was pretty good, but this real story put this to absolute shame. Then you begin to learn a little bit about the assets that were in place. Then President Trump had his Truth Social explaining that there were dozens of military aircraft. Jennifer Griffin was getting all this information and then got information from the CIA that the CIA misled the Iranians to believe that he had actually been recovered earlier and was perhaps taking a convoy out of Iran, so that they moved the Iranian military and searchers away from that area so that the U.S. could go in and recover him. It was an incredible thing, and especially in real time as we're learning all this information, and it was all happening very wee hours of the morning right before Easter, and then all throughout the early hours of Easter Sunday.
What we've learned, especially in the big weekend show, is the weekends are hot.
Yeah, they are.
Everything happens on the weekend.
There are no
it really
weekends.
Does. Yeah, there are no weekends, but we're happy we get to cover it. Tom, I loved your questions asking about, what this person was going through, the fact that they were able to climb to an elevated position, though they were apparently seriously injured, and evade enemy capture and wait for these joint forces to come and rescue. I mean, it's really incredible. I'm sure a movie is going to be made soon, and we hope it does, because it'll be a great one. What do you make of this deception campaign, though? Because this is kind of something straight out of, like, the TV show Homeland.
Yeah, well, it's funny because all day yesterday we're trying to get the information, and we're saying, where is he? How is he separated from the other pilot? At what point in the rescue are they? Now, they can't tell us any of this stuff. So, we're part of the disinformation campaign. We got to be in the dark until the rescue happens. The amazing thing was those planes, we got fouled up again by sand. This has been dogging us for years. When I was a little kid, I remember that President Carter had that failed rescue attempt of the Iranian hostages. The sand took them down because the sand gets up in the propellers. We lost a plane when we rescued bin Laden. We had to blow that plane up. Remember that, right? And that helicopter. And we had to blow up some of these aircraft. We're always getting stuck in the sand. I mean, that's an assignment for some, some industrial technology here. How are we going to deal with this sand in the future?
Stuck, but not stopped.
Yeah.
Lisa, I'm glad that you asked that question about what message this sends to Iran. We were discussing yesterday the hypotheticals of how this was going to shake out and what it was going to do to the political narrative. Not that that really matters when you're dealing with a service member in their life, but I think today this kind of changes the conversation a little bit.
Well, it does. And as people are asking, how does this war end? What's going to be the end result of it? I think the broader message here is, don't bet against the United States military. Don't bet against the United States, right? And this could have gone south really quickly. I mean, this was the first time in more than 2 decades you had a U.S. combat jet that was shot down in combat. And clearly the Iranians wanted him, right? That's why they put a bounty on his head. That could have allowed Iran to potentially dictate, what happens in the Iranian war moving forward, dictate the terms, because we would want to get our soldier back. Also, what stands out to me, too, is the lengths that we went to go get our American soldier. The White House tweeted out, "No man left behind. God bless America. God bless our troops." I think back to the botched withdrawal after Afghanistan and Joe Biden leaving Americans behind in Afghanistan and then going out in those press conferences and turning his backs to the press corps and refusing to answer questions after leaving those Americans behind. Not on President Trump's watch. And then again, this wasn't just one high stakes extraction, 2. That the United States was successfully able to pull off. So don't bet against the United States military. And thank God that this colonel was saved. 36 hours, survived with broken legs and internal injuries. Hero.
What a thing to wake up to on Easter morning as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
An incredible gift.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.